So as some of you are probably aware, I rescued a rabbit a few months ago. I named him Otis, and I got him to be a bonded pair with my other rabbit, Olive, since my Flemish giant Desmond passed away. I didn't want Olive to be alone, so I went to our rabbit rescue, and I rescued Otis, and he unfortunately passed away a couple days ago. Pretty suddenly. Unfortunately, rabbits go downhill very quickly, and oftentimes will also hide a lot of the signs that they're not doing well. So it's really hard with rabbits. But I want to just talk to you guys about what happened. Otis was such a good bun though. I'm so sad. He was really a cool bun. Loved his head being pet. He would hop and stand on top of that house right there with his head like peering over the top of the pen, and it was the cutest thing ever. Like, you would walk in the room and he would immediately hop up and start peering out and looking at you. And there were a couple times where he escaped out of the pen and we would just walk into the room and see him on the couch, like looking out the window. He just had such a funny personality. I feel really bad for Olive because this is, of course, the second rabbit we had bonded with her that passed away. I just want to talk about the issues Otis was having and kind of what I've been through the past week with him leading up to him passing away. I got him from the rabbit rescue earlier this year, and he was about the same age as Olive, so around 6 or 7 years old. That was my goal. I wanted to get a rabbit that was around the same age as Olive. I was hoping they would live out their golden years together, but obviously that wasn't the case. The rescue told me that Otis was brought to the rescue in a little cage thing in the back of someone's pickup truck, and they drove like on the highway and everything with this rabbit and Otis's sibling as well in the bed of a pickup truck. Like, terrible. And he had health issues that I was aware of. The rescue told me that he had basically dental disease and he would get overgrowth on his molars that needed to be addressed about every year or two. They told me that I would know that it was time for him to get this done because he would get poopy butt, which is basically when rabbits have like kind of runnier poop and it gets kind of like all over their butt, literally what it sounds like. Otis was laying down in the back of the pen, like kind of in this house, and we saw he had poop all over his butt. So we were like, there it is, like it's time for him to get his dental done. I contacted the rescue because I had remembered that they had a vet that they normally go to with their rabbits that Otis had previously gone to get this dental done. So I was calling them up to kind of see if there was any way that they could get Otis in sooner than I would be able to, because I've never been to this vet before with Otis, and they have. So I was like, is there any way you guys would be able to get him in like soon so that he can get this dental done? Because rabbits, for anyone who isn't aware, when they have issues, you need to address it like ASAP, especially dental issues like that, because when they get overgrowth on their teeth, it causes a lot of discomfort and it can cause them to stop eating. And rabbits can't go very long without eating before they go into GI stasis and die. I contact the rescue and they basically say, you know, even we are having trouble getting into this vet soon. Like, they're booked out a couple weeks out. And they gave me a bunch of other vets that I should call. There was one that specialized in dental work, and then there was one that was a little bit more local to me. I called the one that specialized in dental work. They said they were booked out a couple weeks. And I called the other vet, which was one that I have heard of before, and I've been to a really long time ago, I think, when they were at a different location. But anyways, I called them up, and they were like, you can bring him in today, and we'll do like a quick check through and everything, and then we can schedule an appointment for the dental. So I was like, cool, like great, they can look at him today, that's fantastic. And at this point I was noticing that Otis wasn't really eating hay at all. I'm assuming the hay was harder for him to chew up because of the tooth overgrowth, but he was still eating pellets and greens. I took him to this vet. Basically they had me drop him off, and then they gave me a call back and they said that, basically they said they wanted to do blood work and then sedate him to do x-rays. And I was like, can we just not do those things and can you just get the dental done? They said they looked at his teeth and did see that there was overgrowth and that the dental needed to be done. And I was like, instead of doing like the blood work and the x-rays and stuff, can we just do the dental? Because that needs to be addressed like now. And I know that blood work is a pretty standard thing people like to do before anesthesia. But the thing with rabbits is most of the time people just do the dental. You can do blood work as a precautionary thing, but it's like, what are your options if they can't get the dental done? The only other option is like letting the rabbit starve itself to death. So like the dental has to be done, you know? That was my thought process, at least, as not a professional. So maybe I'm wrong there, but I was like, can we skip the blood work or at least skip the x-rays? Because they just wanted to do the x-rays to like rule out, you know, other issues that could have been going on. And they were like, no, like we have to do that before we do the dental. And I was just kind of annoyed because I've gotten dentals done on Desmond back when I had Desmond, and that stuff was not standard. And upon looking at the reviews of this vet, there were other people with rabbits, like literally everyone it seems like who brought their rabbits to this vet had issues and gave them bad reviews, and it just seemed like they were trying to do a bunch of unnecessary stuff. But whatever. I was just like, I need to get this dental done as soon as possible, so if you gotta do that, then just go ahead and do it, whatever. So, you know, they do the blood work, they do the x-rays. They told me that his blood work came back that he was anemic, but they said that was probably because he wasn't eating very much. And then they basically said the x-rays came back like everything was good. So I asked them when they can do the dental. They say in like a week, which I'm kind of, you know, frustrated because that's a long time to wait still. They prescribed me antibiotics, Oxbow critical care, and like an appetite stimulant. And I was also a little confused by why they were prescribing antibiotics because they didn't find any infection, but again, I was just like, whatever, like if they think it's gonna help, then sure, you know? Again, in my experience, I never had to give a rabbit antibiotics before they got one of their teeth shaved down, but it is what it is. So I was a little bit frustrated with just my experience at this vet. I decided to call this other vet that I know of that's an hour and a half away from me, but we've taken other exotic animals there and they're really good. So we call them up and make an appointment. Basically just kind of wanted like a second opinion, plus they said that they could get the dental done sooner. About 2 days pass. I'm giving Otis the Oxbow critical care every 4 hours to try and prevent him from going into GI stasis and to keep weight on him. And he also stops eating greens and pellets on his own, which obviously isn't good. So then I take him to this other vet about 2 days later. They do a general check through. We notice he's lost a pretty decent amount of weight since the last vet visit a couple days prior. They are also like, why didn't they just do the dental? Like in the time it took them to do the blood work and the x-rays, they could have just gotten the dental out of the way. So that vet kind of confirmed with me that the other vet was like messing around a little bit. And they were also like, why were they putting him on antibiotics? Like, why? So I had the first vet I went to send all the test results to this other vet so they could look it over too. And they told me something like completely different. Of course, they did say he was anemic, but they said that they were much more thorough with me. They were going through like all the different blood levels and telling me what specifically was off. And they said that it looked like he could potentially have some sort of ulcer, but they couldn't tell for sure. And then they also looked at the x-rays and they said the x-rays, everything looked pretty normal. There were a couple little things they saw, but they said it wasn't anything major. And then they looked at the teeth as well and they said that they were a little bit overgrown. But at this point, because he's lost even more weight, they said that they can't do the dental right now because he's too skinny. So they ended up prescribing me with like a prescription, stronger critical care than the Oxbow, hoping that it would help him put on a little bit more weight and then we could do the dental after that. They also gave me a medication for like arthritis because they said it seemed like he had some arthritis and like discomfort. And then they also told me to stop giving him the antibiotics, but they said I can keep doing the appetite stimulant. They also gave me something for his potential ulcer. At this point, I heavily regret not just going to this vet in the first place. But yeah, so we take Otis home. I give him his critical care and all the new medications. I mean, just pretty much from the point we got home, I noticed he was acting a lot more lethargic. Like before he was not very active. Even when he was completely healthy, he wasn't the most active bun. Like, he was very chilled out. But I just noticed he wasn't really getting up, like, very much at all. He was just kind of laying down in his house and not moving. But anyways, I gave him his food, his critical care, everything. He seemed to eat it just fine. I almost forgot, because I feel like this is important. The vet that was an hour and a half away that I took Otis to said that his organ function seemed normal, and that other than his blood levels being a little bit off and him being skinny from not eating, he overall seemed good. Like, he seemed healthy, they said, you know? So that was, like, really reassuring to me. I felt like, you know, other than the fact that his tooth's overgrown and he's not eating, you know, he might be, like, okay other than that. Like, I wasn't worried about there being some huge other issue that we weren't aware of. But anyways, like I said, I took him home, fed him, gave him medication, everything. I just let him rest, chill, do his own thing, and then nighttime, when it was time for him to get his critical care and some more medications again, I take him out of his pen, wrap him up in a blanket. You know, I'm trying to give him his critical care and his medications, but I'm pretty much just putting it in his mouth, and he's, like, not swallowing it. Like, before, when I would syringe the critical care in his mouth, he would start chewing it and swallowing it immediately, but he was just letting it, like, sit in his mouth, and it was, like, falling out, basically. Like, he wasn't swallowing it. He was also just super lethargic. We basically had a feeling that he wasn't going to make it. Part of me was considering taking him to the emergency vet, because I was like, he really does not seem to be doing well. But I was like, what are they gonna really do, you know? Like, they might be able to put him on fluids and keep him warm. It would just be so much added stress on him. And he was literally just at the vet and had all these tests looked at, and they said that things seemed fairly normal. Basically, within, like, the next 30 minutes, he passed away. So I'm glad I didn't try taking him to the emergency vet, because I would have just been putting him in so much extra stress, and we probably wouldn't have even been able to get anything done in time anyways. So we just kind of wrapped him up in some blankets, and we were sitting there petting him, and we could tell that he was slowing down a lot, and, you know, pretty quickly he ended up passing away. Part of me wonders if the initial vet I took him to wasn't having me feed him enough critical care, obviously, because he was still losing weight. Maybe they should have initially put him on a stronger critical care that was prescription strength. So I wonder if he literally basically starved himself to death. Like, would he have been fine if he got the dental done just right away from the beginning? Would that have made him start eating on his own right away? Or was it some sort of other issue that just didn't show up on the blood work or the x-rays that we just weren't aware of and didn't see? There's just a lot of what ifs, and it sucks to think about, and I think it's just frustrating that we couldn't get his teeth fixed right away, because a big part of me is like, what if that was really it? And all the discomfort from the teeth and all the stress from me force-feeding him constantly, like, what if that's what did it? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I did what I could. Rabbits are also very good at hiding sickness, so it could have been that there was something wrong for a while and he was just hiding it. I feel like I gave him a good life while I had him, and I'm glad that I was able to show him love, and he was able to have Olive and have a good home for at least a little while. I'm glad he didn't have to, like, you know, die at the rabbit rescue, or, you know, the home he came from obviously wasn't very good. So I'm glad he got to have a good life for a little while here in a house and, you know, bonded with another rabbit. That's the downside of not only having a lot of animals, but when you opt for rescuing older animals that have health issues, or even just rescuing older animals in general, you end up dealing with a lot more death more frequently, more quickly than you would if I just got like a baby bunny, you know? But like I said, I'm glad that I gave him a good life while I had him. It sucks that it was such a short amount of time. I guess if there's a takeaway from this, keep a close eye on your buns. If you notice anything off at all, just make sure you try your best to get it addressed as soon as possible. Rabbits are just prone to a lot of different health issues, so it's something to kind of expect and to keep a lookout for. But otherwise, Olive seems to be doing good. Just chilling in the litter box eating hay right now. She seems to be handling it pretty okay. She doesn't seem too down in the dumps, which is good. I guess that's about it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.